For our Roanoke County Foster Family Program, we are looking for families who can be patient and kind, empathetic to biological family, and willing to work with kiddos through a spectrum of behaviors. Most families that would do well within our program are usually families that can be flexible, usually families that can work with kiddos with traumatized behaviors, which sometimes looks like aggression. It sometimes looks like misunderstanding of situations. It sometimes looks like lack of communication. So regarding families working with our kids, we need families who are going to stay, who are going to work for the best interest of the children, and who are going to, above all else, root for the kids to have whatever they need, whether that be returning home, going to stay with a kinship family such as fictive kin or a grandparent or relative. There's a wide spectrum of what foster care could look like for every child.
So when we're talking about resources in this context, we're talking about traditional foster homes or kinship foster homes. So on the staff end, we have staff that work with prospective families. We recruit them, we train them. We have staff that work with our currently approved families that are actively fostering and have children in custody in their homes. Our families that participate in our resource program are regular families that are located all throughout our community, and they are providing a service to other families located all throughout our community. They are providing a home, the least restrictive level of foster care. They're providing a safe, nurturing home for that child, but they're also working closely with the child's birth family, with community partners, with other members of that child's team, and all working together to help support that child's transition back home. Foster families may be providing longer-term placements that could even become permanent if the child cannot go home or cannot be placed with a relative and that family has interest in adoption. Some of our families just provide what we call respite or shorter-term or emergency placements.
The main goal is keeping the child connected to and placed with family from the very beginning. If we can identify relatives or fictive kin, so fictive kin meaning a family friend, godparent, teacher, it stands to reason that the child will be more comfortable living with them instead of a stranger. Even if we're not able to place a child in the home of family or fictive kin from the beginning, we're searching for these connections as long as the child is in foster care, so that if the child cannot return home, we can still keep them connected to their family.
So the training and assessment process is really designed to be mutual. So just as much for our agency to work with families and assess if the family is a good fit for our program, as it is for families to assess, is fostering really a good fit for us? And is the agency really a good fit for us? So families are going through 30 hours of pre-service training that is designed to help them develop specific competency areas to successfully foster. So families are learning things like, how does the child welfare system work? How do I parent in a trauma-informed manner? How do I engage with birth families? They're learning all these different things across all these competency areas. And hopefully they're developing a really strong support system with other families going through the same process that'll carry with them once they start actively fostering.
But regarding our families, some very specific examples that we have seen do really well. We have had families who are empty nesters, and they seem to have very flexible schedules. They can work well with our teenagers, and they often have that flexibility in their schedule, as well as a good degree of patience if they have experienced parenting before. We've also had families that don't have any other children in the home, and they can sometimes do well with our kids that need full attention. Some of our children have experienced intense trauma, and that makes it hard for them to be in a home with other children in care. So we really appreciate a variable amount of families, from empty nesters to young couples with no kids in the home, to single moms or single dads who are willing to care for children, maybe not for a long period of time, but for up to 2 weeks of care, and are willing to be flexible and work with kids and give them a good experience of short-term foster care.
The only thing I'm thinking about with kinship is for people who can't be a kinship placement, but how they could also stay involved in terms of if you're not able to be a kinship placement for a child, then you can still support that child by sending them letters, taking them to the mall, taking them out to eat once a week, taking them back to school shopping, FaceTiming with them, having a monthly phone call with them, going to church with them. That, just family and fictive kin can still stay connected to these children even if they're not able to take them into their home full time.
I think families need to know that fostering can be an incredibly rewarding experience for the entire family, but it can also be a really difficult experience. So we believe that children do best when they are raised with their birth families when at all possible. So when there's no less drastic alternative to a child coming into care, our primary goal is reuniting that child with his or her birth family. And when that's not possible, with placing that child with a relative. So I think foster families really need to be able to see fostering as families helping families and really be able to genuinely support that child's permanency goals.
So if families are at a point where they really want to help locally, but they are unable to foster right now, there are a few options. One of the options is advocacy, and being a part of some of our community engagement events, such as monthly Zooms, is a really good way to learn about fostering and advocating for local children. This might not look like you fostering at the moment, but it might look like having the resources to share with your friend who's considered fostering for years. Or it might look like having the resources to share with a teacher friend of yours who's working with a child experiencing trauma within the school. Ultimately, one thing you can do is be a community member engaging in trauma-informed care for our kids and families that have experienced hardship and trauma themselves. So being able to be an advocate is absolutely an asset to being a part of a trauma-informed community. And even if you are unable to foster, being an advocate is a huge help. If you are unable to foster and you would be interested in possibly working with our department and leading some of these community engagement events, or possibly donating items to some of our teenagers who are experiencing foster care, please contact me, Amber Tiller, at atiller@roanokecountyva.gov, or call 540-682-3361.